She may look like just a sweet old lady with a fondness for knitting, but behind that calm exterior lies a mind sharper than most detectives could ever dream of. Fact 1.
Well, I just wonder if it wouldn't have been better to stayed at home and seen it through.
Miss Marple wasn't born out of pure imagination. Agatha Christie once revealed that her inspiration came straight from home, her own grandmother. This quiet, observant woman had a knack for understanding people far better than they realized. She didn't gossip, but she noticed everything. Christie was fascinated by how her grandmother could detect tension, secrets, and lies at social events without ever leaving her chair. That ability to read people, to see patterns in everyday life, became the essence of Miss Marple. She wasn't a professional detective, she was an old woman who understood human nature, and that made her more dangerous than anyone expected.
Well, doesn't he bring down a young woman most weekends now? A blonde?
In a sense, Miss Marple was Christie's way of honouring quiet, unnoticed brilliance. Fact 2.
Hematocalis fulva. Oh, I can never get mine to look like that.
When Miss Marple first appeared in 1930, she was already an elderly woman. But decades passed and somehow she barely aged. Across 12 novels and 20 short stories, her energy and sharpness never faded. This wasn't an oversight, it was intentional. Agatha Christie once said that readers prefer familiarity over realism. So Marple remained ageless, forever perched near a garden window, listening to gossip and solving crimes. While the world changed, she stayed the same. Unmoving and unshakable, a timeless observer in a world full of chaos. Miss Marple's unchanging nature became part of her mystery. Fact 3.
You believe in such things?
Oh, yes, yes. I believe in evil, in everlasting life, and, oh, yes, goodness.
It might surprise you, but Agatha Christie actually preferred Hercule Poirot over Miss Marple. She found Poirot's flair and ego entertaining to write. In contrast, Marple's calm and subtle methods were harder for her to enjoy crafting. Still, Miss Marple offered something Poirot didn't: subversive power. She defied age, gender, and expectations with every case she solved. And while Poirot was admired, Marple became a symbol of intuition, independence, and quiet rebellion. Christie may not have liked writing her as much, but the world grew to love her all the same. And in many ways, Miss Marple outgrew her creator's intentions.
I should like to speak to Florrie Small. Did you notice her as she went out? She relaxed too soon.
Sometimes the most powerful characters are the ones authors struggle with. Fact 4.
Jealousy, cruel as the grave, and the coals thereof are coals of fire.
Agatha Christie saw Joan Hickson on stage in the 1940s. She was so impressed she wrote her a note: "I hope one day you will play Miss Marple." Hickson kept that note for decades, and in the 1980s she fulfilled Christie's prophecy. Her portrayal of Marple in the BBC series became legendary. Elegant, razor-sharp, and eerily close to the character in the books. Many fans today still consider Hickson the ultimate Miss Marple. And perhaps that's because she was handpicked by Marple's own creator. It was a rare moment when fiction and real life aligned perfectly. Fact 5.
Oh, yes, but I think we do, if you'll forgive me.
In the early 1930s, publishers doubted whether an elderly spinster could carry a detective series. They urged Christie to introduce someone younger and more conventional. She refused. To her, Miss Marple's strength was her invisibility. People talked freely around her, not realizing she was absorbing every word.
But surely these letters are usually more formal.
That's what made her so deadly effective. Though some stories briefly sidelined her, Christie made sure Marple remained essential. It was a quiet battle behind the scenes, and Christie won, preserving one of fiction's most unlikely heroes. Thanks to her resistance, Miss Marple redefined what a detective could look like. Fact 6.
Aunt Jane, this is Giles' wife Gwenda.
How do you do, Miss Marple?
Oh, how do you do?
Sleeping Murder wasn't written in the 1970s, it was written during World War II. Christie locked the manuscript in a vault, intending it for posthumous release. She wanted to say goodbye to Miss Marple on her own terms. And she did. When the book was finally released in 1976, it was like opening a time capsule. Marple's final case felt fresh, despite being over 30 years old.
It's a remarkable coincidence, and in life, coincidences do happen.
It was a graceful and quiet farewell, fitting for a character who always worked in whispers. Even in her ending, Miss Marple arrived precisely when she needed to.
Jane Marple.
How do you do?
Christie safeguarded the story like a secret waiting for the right moment. It was the final mystery, delivered from beyond the grave. Fact 7.
Oh, I feel so frustrated, so helpless, so slow.
Miss Marple never wore a badge. She wasn't part of Scotland Yard, she had no official training, no legal authority, and yet detectives, inspectors, even judges learned to respect her insight. Her methods relied on memory, intuition, and the parallels she drew between village life and the wider world. She believed human nature was the same everywhere, whether in a London townhouse or a country garden. And time after time she proved it. Without a uniform, she became the most respected, unofficial detective in British fiction. Her power came not from credentials, but from truth. The police often dismissed her until she solved what they couldn't.
You know better than most that we are not put into this world to avoid danger.
That's when they realised the smartest person in the room was sitting quietly with her knitting. Fact 8. Most people think The Murder at the Vicarage was her first appearance, but actually, she debuted in a short story called The Tuesday Night Club, published in 1927. It introduced her as part of a dinner group where people told unsolved mysteries. Marple solved them, quietly, and usually before anyone else. Christie didn't expect much from the character at first, but readers loved her. That early experiment led to a full-length novel just 3 years later. Sometimes legends begin in the smallest, most unexpected ways. And Miss Marple's legend began with just a dinner and a story. She stepped into fiction almost by accident, and from that moment, she never stepped back.
To know that someone so professional and so energetic is in charge of the case, Inspector.
Fact 9.
Oh, yes, indeed. Yes, it must be very worrying for you.
Very.
On the surface, Marple's world seems peaceful. English gardens, tea, polite neighbours. But just beneath that surface lies a darker truth. Christie used Miss Marple to expose the rot beneath respectability. The banker, the vicar's wife, the charming doctor, anyone could be a murderer. Marple saw what others ignored: hypocrisy, arrogance, cruelty. She listened not just to words, but to tone, silence, and motive. Through her, Christie offered subtle commentary on class, gender, and social injustice, and she did it all while sipping tea and observing quietly. Miss Marple's real weapon wasn't her wit, it was her awareness. Her polite manner masked a piercing insight into human failure. She reminded us that evil often hides behind a pleasant smile. Fact 10.
Which I hope might help in the difficult time ahead.
What are you talking about?
Unlike many literary heroines, Miss Marple never had a romantic interest. This wasn't an oversight, it was deliberate. Christie believed that not all women needed love to be interesting. Marple's independence was central to her strength. She didn't pine, flirt, or pursue affection. She pursued truth. In an era when women were often written as emotional sidekicks or romantic prizes, Marple stood alone.
But I don't understand the blackbirds. I can see no point in them.
Her solitude was not a weakness, but a statement. And that statement made her unforgettable. She represented a quiet, radical kind of freedom, one where a woman's mind was her greatest story.